Now let's dig a little deeper into how to control key aircraft systems. We'll have a look at the upfront controls, the UFC, the large bank of buttons, and the small display at the top of the instrument panel. These allow you to quickly access communications, navigation, IFF, and other information in one place without digging around on the cockpit panels. Many of the specific functions will be covered in lessons on navigation and weapons delivery, but we'll get a feel here for the basic concepts and run through some practical examples. If you're already familiar with how the UFC works and are looking for a specific system operation, then feel free to move on. Now this lesson, maybe more than any others, will require a lot of acronyms to be thrown your way. There's simply no way around it. Don't worry though, I'll include enough context to understand exactly what's going on, even if you don't remember what each one means. Press spacebar when you're ready to begin. To use the upfront controls to their full potential, the CNI switch on the IFF control panel must be in the UFC position. If the UFC fails, the backup position allows operation of the radios and IFF using their cockpit panels. For now though, leave this in the UFC position. The UFC consists of two elements. You'll use the Integrated Control Panel, or ICP, to call up and manipulate data that's displayed on the Data Entry Display, DED, the small digital readout just to the right. There's more to come on the DED, but for now just know that there are many different pages that can be called up that show us different sets of information. The CNI page is displayed by default and shows you basic information on communications, navigation, and the Identify Friend or Foe, IFF status. Press spacebar to continue. There are a lot of buttons on the ICP, so let's break them down into three main functions. First are the two master mode buttons. Depressing these selects the air-to-air or air-to-ground master mode and configures the fire control system and displays to support that type of attack. Try it now if you would like. We start in the navigation master mode with navigation information dominating the HUD and the horizontal situation display, or HSD, on the right MFD. So to press either of the master mode buttons, you'll see attack symbology displayed in the HUD and the SMS page with weapons information called up on the right MFD. Depress the button again and it returns to the navigation master mode. Now, there are other master modes, but these three are the ones you'll deal with most often. Explore that some more if you wish and press spacebar to continue. Next are the four override buttons. These override any other DED page to show you the page that corresponds to the depressed button. Depressing an override button a second time returns to the previous page. The COM1, COM2, and IFF buttons take you directly to those pages. The list button displays a list of pages that can be accessed by depressing the corresponding button from a menu. I mentioned before that the CNI page is displayed on the DED by default. Go ahead and call up some of these other override pages to get a feel for how navigating between pages works. We can return to the default CNI page by either entering data, and more on this later, or by toggling the data control switch, the DCS, left to the return position. So continue to explore this if you would like, and toggle left to return to the CNI page when you're done. Press spacebar to continue. Next, we have several priority function buttons. Like the override buttons, these are used to call up different pages on the DED. However, these do not override other pages and only function when used from the CNI page. The buttons serve as a numeric keyboard once a page other than CNI is called up. We'll look at some of these in more detail in the navigation lesson. So for now, call up some pages by depressing the buttons. Remember to toggle left on the DCS to return to the CNI page before trying to select another one of these pages. So continue to explore that and press spacebar when you're ready to move on. So that's how we swap between the different pages. Once we're there, we also have a few switches and buttons for entering and manipulating data. The increment-decrement switch increases or decreases values for the field selected on the current DED page. Values that can be increased or decreased are identified by an up and down arrow next to them on the display. For example, the steer point at the top right of the CNI page has these arrows, so the steer point can be changed using this switch. Press spacebar to continue. We've already used the data control switch, DCS, to return to the CNI page, but we can also use it to change the highlighted field on DED pages by toggling up or down, or sequence through different data by toggling right. So try it with the CNI page selected. Keep in mind though, this could work differently depending on the page selected and the type of data displayed in each field. Press spacebar to continue. The Mode Select button is used on some pages to cycle between different modes. On other pages it serves as a 0 key or identifies a negative number. The Enter button is used to accept new values typed into a data field with the keypad. Depress the Recall button once to erase the last digit that was entered, like with a backspace key. Depressing it a second time restores the originally entered value. Press spacebar to continue. Now there are a few other switches and dials on the ICP, but let's look at those a little later. For now, let's run through some practical examples using the controls we just saw. One of the most common tasks will be to change radio frequencies or preset channels. So depress the COM1 override button to call up the DED page for the primary UHF radio. You'll see two asterisks on either side of the highlighted field. The asterisks mean that new data can be entered into that field using the keypad. Most missions will have several channels already set to specific frequencies. So let's say for example the AWACS controller we want to talk to is on channel 2. Type 2 into the field and press enter. That returns us to the CNI page, and channel 2 is displayed as the selected UHF channel. From there you can toggle the DCS up or down until the arrows are next to the UHF field. When a preset channel is displayed like this, the increment-decrement switch can be used to change the channel straight from the CNI page. So explore that some more if you wish, and press spacebar to continue. Let's say we don't know the preset channel and only know the frequency. Now this works for both radios, but this time depress the COM2 button to call up the page for the auxiliary VHF radio. We typed a channel number into the field last time, but we can also enter a full frequency. So type 13100 and press enter. That returns us to the CNI page, and 131 is entered as the new VHF frequency. Now let's look at one more example to see the other data entry controls at work. Verify you are back on the CNI page, then depress the TILS priority function button. This calls up the page for TACAN navigation and instrument landing system or ILS data. We'll look at this in detail in other lessons, but it's a great spot to get a feel for how moving around a page works. Many pages like this have several different fields where data can be entered, so toggle the DCS switch up and down to cycle through the available fields. But unlike with the last page, entering the data does not return us to the CNI page from here. This is also one where toggling the DCS right to the sequence position has a different effect. This time it cycles through the different operational modes for the TACAN, like receive, transmit receive, or air-to-air transmit receive. Go ahead and explore this some more if you'd like, then toggle left on the DCS to return to the CNI page. Press spacebar to continue. Let's look at one more example before moving on to the next lesson. Depress the List Override button to bring up the list of extra pages. Then depress the 7 key that corresponds to the CMDS or Countermeasures Dispenser Set page. This page is a little different because it includes a number of sub-pages. These can be accessed by toggling the DCS right to the sequence position. Try that now. The key thing to take away from these examples is that some pages behave differently than others. We'll cover some of that in the lessons on specific systems, but it's something to keep in mind while exploring the aircraft on your own. Press the spacebar when you're ready to move on, and we'll wrap up with a look at the other controls on the ICP. We also have some controls that don't apply to data entry. First is the symbology brightness dial at the top left. This is used to turn on the HUD symbology during startup and to increase or decrease the brightness. Second is the reticle depression dial. This is to crank a fixed backup sight up and down within the HUD. Generally, you'll only see this if major parts of the fire control system have failed and you enable it as a backup. Third is a 3-function drift cutout and warning reset switch. Toggling down clears any warning messages displayed in the HUD. The normal or center position allows the flight path marker and pitch lines to show drift due to crosswinds or side slip, while positioning it to the drift cutout position centers them up in the HUD. Then last, we have a few controls that don't apply to our block of F-16C. These would be used to adjust and manage the FLIR image displayed in the HUD if that were available. For us, these have no function. Press spacebar to continue. That was a look at the upfront controls and the basic concepts behind their use, including DED page navigation and data entry. We also saw a few of the most used functions like radio channel change. There are many pages we'll see in detail later in lessons covering specific systems. For now though, we have the foundation laid to cover that later without worrying about getting totally lost. You can press spacebar to unpause and fly around, or press escape at any time to end the lesson.